Hey folks, welcome to what is kind of a niche party tonight, a celebration of 3 collaborative poetry chapbooks. A Trip to the Zoo by Maid, Sprawl, The Time It Took Us to Forget by Manahil Bandikwala and Conyer Clayton, and Slow Erosions by Arlene Ang and Daniela Elza. I'm Andy Verboom. I'm the editor and publisher of Collusion Books, as well as the co-founder of Longcon Magazine, which is Collusion Books' parent publication. If you're new to Collusion Books, that makes 2 of us, or all of us, because it's a very new press, launched just last spring, that publishes print chapbooks. You're here, you know this, as well as digital anthologies. What makes Collusion unique among poetry chapbook presses, I hope, is that it publishes only collaborative poetry. That includes collaborations between and among poets, as well as collaborations between poets and other artists, as our digital anthologies have just started to explore. I say our and we and us when referring to Collusion sometimes, which is a strange and inaccurate habit because it's currently a one-person operation. I was going to kind of prepare an apology for that tonight, but I realized it was absurd because the publication process is so rich with opportunities for collaboration between publisher and editor and poet. And the 6 poets whose work you're going to see in here tonight were really generous and patient collaborators in shaping how this season looks. I'm really deeply grateful to them for that collaboration, and I think it will shape how Collusion runs in the future. I also want to take a quick opportunity to announce, world exclusive, that the next season of Collusion Books, due out late spring, will include a poetry chapbook by a 7-member poetry collective based in Ottawa called Seven. That's V-I-I. It's spelled like the Romans would, as well as a poetry chapbook by the dynamic duo Liam Burke and Natalie Hanna. 25 other good reasons to refer to Collusion as a we are the 25 supporters of the Collusion Chapbook Printing Fund, which got this first season off the ground. You'll find the names of these generous heroes in the back of every chapbook printed this season. Thank you to them, and thank you also to the 60-some folks, including a couple of bookshops who've already purchased copies. I'd like to especially thank On Paper Books of Sydney, Nova Scotia, and Glass Bookshop of Edmonton, Alberta, where you can buy all of these chapbooks locally, if you live in one of those 2 places. Tonight's chapbooks were printed in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional and unceded Mi'kmaq Nation, which is where I was born and grew up and where I now work and live. The poems were written and performed in many different places. Among these, the nations of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, Huron, Wendat, and Petun, Mississaugas of the Credit River and Seneca nations, the territory of the Three Fires Confederacy, and the territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. Thank you to tonight's readers for helping me assemble this specific account of the nations to whom we, as poets and publishers and readers too, owe our individual respect and our collective responsibility. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. You can find all of the bios of tonight's poets, info on purchasing their chapbooks, and other helpful links in the description below. You are thankfully done hearing from me. Please enjoy the show and smash that like and subscribe.
Hello from Windsor, Ontario. I'm Mark LaLiberty.
And I'm Jade Wallace. Collectively, we're Made, a collaborative writing entity that has been making work together since 2018.
Thank you all for coming to our launch tonight. It's wonderful to be here with you to celebrate the release of our latest chapbook.
A Trip to the Zoo from Collusion Books is our second chapbook. The poems in this collection are excerpted from a full-length manuscript of animal-adjacent poems that we're currently working on.
Since we're putting this together in advance, rather than live zooming in the way we've all become overly accustomed to in the last 10 months, we thought we'd try something a little more Baroque tonight as a way of celebrating this lovely new chapbook that Andy has published as part of Collusion Books Season 1 program.
So thank you, Andy, and we hope you all enjoy these video versions of 2 poems from our chapbook, A Trip to the Zzoo.
Pitchdown Bay. The small sound of a falling snowflake. Slow it down. Low frequency rumble of a whale. Both melting into the ocean in time. The water glowing as bright as lanterns, and sailors drowning as if they'd seen lighthouses. More lost men entering from the shore's mouth. That emptiness between the stars. Pupils compensating for this hard blanket of deadlight night. Still surrounded by silent shorebirds, nested, watching, staining the surface of the water like quickening nicks when they alight.
Vertical logic at the crossroads of the world.
When my French exit meets sur l'esprit de l'escalier,
A door is left open between us.
whose feet will move through that gaping mouth first?
I'm done with doubt, but you will still always doubt that. So I hope for you to call me back.
And you wait for the return of my goodbye.
The first time was in the middle of a thunderstorm.
There was a party, so I forgive you, I guess, for letting me wreck my velvet in the rain. For the fact that, when I left, only my wet shoes had anything to say.
There was no turning back. Our sweetness was wind-whipped, lost in a kiss blown south.
We waved away the taste.
Wasted the light.
I should have stood you under flinty stars.
You should have forked a socket into my mouth.
Sprawl.
The time it took us to forget.
We're in this together.
But please, leave me alone. We'll drink our cups.
In separate rooms. Can you bring the pot to boil without burning yourself?
Patience. Stop watching. Times are still too early for fungal blooms.
In a lonely forest, a gentle hand lifts a log. At the same time,
There's a hill with no footprints. A pot now simmering. Soil.
untouched. The flower beds are ready for planting.
We bury the scraps.
Where we could not before, to change the pattern in the dunes.
Is this how I do how I normally would?
We are in the huddle zone. Pressure high. Population low. Please, less low. Some places in the world have always been scarce. The deeper you go, the more transparent the bodies. Our weight, we sink. Our density, we fight. We bump around the darkness. Right now, I think of myself as a glowing little shrimp. There are so many of us, but we rarely find each other. Still, my body glows. Please, notice me across the salt plains. Please notice me across the street. We go on walks. I step into the road whenever someone approaches. We're in this together. Please leave me alone.
We're in this together. Please leave me alone. We write in we something not yet taken away. We tells us of our resilience. Through distance, I wrap my arms around another body. It feels the pressure of my palms coast it. Soon, I forget touch. I think of myself as a backyard squirrel, waiting for garden parties to end scrappily. How can I tell that summer hasn't even started, that winter's been prolonged? Keep the sweaters out. Keep the stovetop burning low. Spices simmer in we. We drink our cups in separate rooms.
We drink our cups in separate rooms. Hope the other will enter without wanting. I wrap my arms around my own body so I don't forget touch. We agree on solitude and then ignore that seasons need a nudge to change. How humans need a nudge to change. Mutation is only natural in winter. In cold, you cannot simmer away. I think of myself as a seething broth. Add onions. Add scraps. Can you fish me out without burning yourself?
Without burning yourself, I reach into a bubbling pot. I hiked through a forest yesterday, picked apart the newly fallen trees from older ones. Mutation is only natural in winter. Sprung in mushrooms and moss, I will become the tree that fell decades ago. A suit of the rotten wood of my skin. Moss cohabitates with dust. Unnudged, I change, sprawl, make my way down the valley. Crush white spring blooms, crush fruit flies. All our times are still too early.
Times are still too early for this kind of thinking. I woke up, remembering every cow I've ever seen on a mountain. El Kakoi, Glencoe, Chiang Mai, Kentucky. I walked over a small bridge yesterday. The ice was breaking apart. Crush winter, mutation. Let cows eat moss. Ice slides downhill into the river. Let me drink it. Is it okay to say I miss cows? Miss mountains? Pine for thoughts to sprawl. Envelop us? Rots forgotten until a gentle hand lifts a log.
A gentle hand lifts the log. An ecosystem has flourished in the time it took us to forget. Over a small bridge, a family of 8 legs dangles. The stream trickles on. Cows continue to wander mountains. In a space a far, far trek away, a cow meets a human who does not pine. For coffee shops and libraries, why breathe the wood scent of an art gallery when pine and cedar dance their way up a gentle slope? I wake up, a dream of skin and smoke, an ecosystem under a cow's trotting hooves. From Kentucky to Karachi, we make our way. The world, so big and too small at the same time.
There is no like this. The pond still vibrates from the previous bombings. The sky, a triage of clouds swollen shut. After the rain repaints the carp, they float with the self-possession of the homeless. We gather, attempt the present. We are, we aren't. The bride in her charred skin and gown sleeps bound to the dead crow trapped in her ribcage. The wind is the church tower as it falls apart. We aren't. We are. Bodies moving bodies. Between the makeshift plates of time, the clock unraveled, the numbers flow. Shadows down the short hallway of memory, wounded by the silver bellies of fish. Sirens thread through, stretched fingers, clouds, fields. We are. We aren't. Places untouched by war. Wake up with our names etched in marble. Diagonal hours slip sideways. Proceed without analogy. Lifelines truncate in our palms. Tombs clasp the dead to the ground. My heart is becoming a necropolis. All the gravediggers wear your face. Silence refuses to be coaxed into meaning. A mask licked white by the moon. The past is underground, damp, topped with flowers. The present plays solitaire with the tombstones of children. Fragments of bone, jagged with indifference. The wind never comes home alive. Ghosts pass through, leaving their undoings. Outline the branches of cypresses with blood. Hang daily crucifixions as if blessing, as if something short of paradise. The moon polishes its horns for the toreador of night. The gravediggers return. The sound of a spade hitting something hard. What fills our footsteps? Today, the clouds move faster than I can swallow. Apologize for their long, blue vowels. Over the radio, the voices never stop fighting. Their asphalt arguments scar across sage country, deer paths, slopes of pine. We leave behind dust animation against the horizon. Speed through a new century in aerodynamic diagnosis. Powerless as condensation, memory on this side of the windshield drips as a throat does when there are no places left for us. We'll still talk in order to make things true. Borrow our velocity from crows. Watch their hunger hurtle through not only the years before we were born, but the moment my hands touched your face. The moment they curled back in the wind as you turn away. Leave not only the names of our dead, but also the trees, scratched off like scabs, the air, a living wound. We ride ourselves into relentless flights, track mud on white leaves of family trees, profit margins, sheets of music, while a fragile midday quarter moon threads longing through our umbilical eye, attempting this slit of sky.